Hi, it's Cody Buford with Roost Chris Steakhouse, Executive Chef. Tonight we have a beer versus wine dinner. This is our third beer versus wine dinner, and what we're trying to do is incorporate more of the beer tastings with our food. You kind of steer away from the traditional wine dinners. The beer is actually starting to catch on a whole lot quicker, I think, with the wine. Everybody's trying to try something a little bit different. So my favorite pairing that we're doing this evening is actually going to be the filet with the blue cheese crust with the oatmeal flavored beer. It's more of a stout, more of a heavier kick to it. I think it goes really well with the filet, and it holds up really well with the blue cheese.
Sure thing. If you look at your menus, how we're going to do this is you'll make a vote, and at the end we'll collect all your votes at the end of the dinner, and then we'll tally them up, and we'll select a winner. And I want to introduce Savannah's very own, everyone probably knows him, Mr. Tim Ruff.
Interesting concept here tonight. Pairing beer and food and wine and food is not really any different in the conceptual nature of it. You're going to learn some things tonight. You're going to taste some things that you may not have thought about putting together before, and that's the fun of it. And it's just an experiment for you. What do you like? What do you don't like? It's okay not to like something with the course you're having. Beer and wine are really made to go with food. I converted a lady today who said, I don't drink beer, and I gave her a strawberry ale, and the next thing I gave her was a nut brown ale with a piece of fish. And her husband came back and said, oh my God, I can't believe you're drinking brown ale. She said, I love this stuff. So, one consumer at a time, right, Oscar? One at a time, yeah. So I'm going to talk about my first course, turn it over to Oscar to talk about his first course. Lambert Bridge Wines are Andy Wilcox, a vineyard partner, is a regular visitor here to Savannah. I've had many dinners right in this room with Andy Wilcox and was very familiar with this Sauvignon Blanc. This is not your typical New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. There's that little bit of grassiness and herbaceousness and citrus notes on the front, but 20% of this juice is aged in neutral French oak. And what that does is round it off, doesn't make it quite so abrasive, quite so harsh, because I know we got a little bit of vinaigrette on that harvest salad. So I didn't want to put, a strong acid with a strong acid. I wanted something rounder and fuller to go with that. So that's my rationale for the first course. Without further ado, Oscar Wall.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to be asked to do this because really I'm an engineer and I kind of do things logically and so forth. But there's a fun factor that's associated with this kind of tasting. Now, normally I compare beer dinners with wine dinners and say that the wine dinners by themselves are normally a little snooty, a little quiet. Beer dinners, every time I go there, says, you got to get their attention, you got to make a lot of noises. Hey, shut up for a minute, I got to tell you something. Because beer is very convivial, people get loud. So tonight's going to be a mix. It's going to be a little puzzle.
When I saw this next course come up, I started to think about, Oscar and I are always thinking about, educating the consumer. I love Asian food, Thai food, Japanese food, Chinese food. A lot of, they have no wine list, or they have a really bizarre wine list. Riesling is the great equalizer.
Thank you. Since the wine went first last time, the beer goes first this time. So we're going to alternate, all right? Okay. I've selected the Bell's Amber Ale. Okay? Just a quick background. I heard about Bell's years ago, and about 6 or 7 years ago, I was going back to Notre Dame, my alma mater, for a reunion, and I was driving, so I had the alumni card. Hey, that's okay. Anyway, so I brought some beer with me.
Tulsa too. Come on.
Yeah, I heard so much about Bell's, and I thought I gotta swing by there. So dropped by. I met Larry Bell. We chatted for a few minutes. I gave him some beer, and he gave me a beer. And I sat there and I tasted it. And I said, "Oh crap! I hope he never comes to North Carolina." Sure enough, 3 years later, he's coming to North Carolina. But he makes excellent beer. And I thought, to balance what we have on this second course, the maltiness and the hops will work beautifully, and I hope you'll agree with that.
You could wrap bacon around a piece of chewing gum and it'd work.
It's become a beer dinner. Anyway, we have this wonderful filet that's coming with this crumbled blue cheese. Well, I chose, a little ego involved here, I chose our own beer.
I'm not running away, I'll be back.
He can't take the heat, he's leaving the kitchen. Anyway, the Importer is my current personal favorite. Used to be the IPA, but as I get older, it just get more mellow.
Thanks, Oscar. I will even confess that this beer from Highland is my favorite beer from Highland. The wine that is paired with this course, I dug deep. I didn't go with a Silver Oak, which would be an obvious choice, a big California Cabernet. I went to Washington State. And I found in Washington State, and this is a wine that I love, and I actually have probably 2 cases of it at home, a label called Sinister Hand. This is from a winery that doesn't even call itself a winery. It is such a cult, small production company that they only refer to themselves by the name Owen Rowe. Owen Rowe's in Sunnyside, Washington, very, very small production. We're going to have Sinister Hand tonight. They're from the premier red wine grape growing region of Washington. So I poked around through the cellar, and what you have in front of you is a rosé. Now, if you're like me and grew up drinking rosés in the late 60s and 70s, you'll think of Mateus rosé. You'll think sweet syrup from Portugal. Yeah. Modern rosés are like Rieslings. They're fruity on the front, they're floral driven, they're fruit driven, but they should have a nice little acidic pop on the finish. What you have in front of you is a rosé of Syrah. Now, Syrah in France and the Old World is the same thing that the Australians and the Californians call Shiraz. Okay? Syrah just seems much more elegant. Syrah with a Y. So this is a rosé of Syrah, specifically a rosé from Côte d'Aron, which is the premier Syrah growing region of France. Take away anything from tonight, take away that we all have different taste perspectives. We all taste things differently, we experience things differently, and we hope tonight has been a little bit of a painless educational process for you, where you've learned that you can pair beer with food and wine with food and have an equally pleasant experience both ways. And to that end, again, hats off to Oscar for doing a beautiful job tonight. Thank you for coming here. And enjoy the rest of your evening, Oscar.
My pleasure, Tim. Thank you all for coming.
I want to preface this by saying that Tim, I got to hand it to Tim, because not many people would go into this big craft brew weekend, with the wine. He just really, but what an awesome pairing. Wine tastes good. It was really close. It was very close. However, beer is the victor.
Congratulations!
Oscar, now that you've won the Wine versus Beer Challenge, where are you going?
We're going home. We want to return undefeated.